You ready, Jerry?
I'm ready.
Just want to make sure you're ready, brother. Show me the money.
Oh, you didn't know?
Every day I'm hustling. Every day I'm hustling. Every day I'm hustling.
You put my shoes on, you wouldn't last a mile.
Summertime, wintertime, I'm on the grind. Yeah, I got the ring, I'm the champ, I'm the genie of the lamp.
This is the gift I was given, so I just live by my hustle.
My pocket, it don't make sense, but don't make a profit. So I hustle, ladies and homies. Make money, money.
Hold out here for a pill. Really tryna get this money for the real.
I want to find a thing to save my life, so I hustle.
It ain't over for me, no, it ain't over for me.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money.
Show me the money!
Okay, let's go smoke that joint.
Let's get back to it. Bobby, you want to introduce our guest?
Yeah, man. We are proud to welcome back, making his triumphant return, your Heisman's favorite Heisman. I said that wrong. Your favorite Heisman's favorite Heisman. Our man, Ricky. Yeah.
Dang soundboard. Come on, there we go. Hey, what up, Ricky?
What up?
Top of the morning.
Yes, top of the morning.
We were taking
Friday.
out there in grassland, or I don't want to say specifically where, but how you liking it?
I love Grass Valley. It really is the Grass Valley.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm not far from you these days. I'm enjoying the valley myself. I'm out here in EG.
I was. It's funny. I was at a dispensary last week, and there was a guy who has a cannabis brand who was handing out samples, and he looked at me. He's like, "Are you Ricky Williams?" I was like, "Yeah." And it was like a TV show. Like everyone in the dispensary looked. He started taking pictures and stuff. Well, the guy, he's like, I live in Grass Valley too. And he said, we have our grow right down the street. He's like, you don't need to go to dispensaries. He said, we'll take care of you. So later today, I'm going by his spot down the road and getting a hookup. So
nice. I know. I still want to connect you with Ellis Greens out here too. That's another nice up and coming cannabis brand. Some 38%ers and stuff like that.
Ooh.
Yeah, some real headbanger boogie.
What are some of the? Do you know any of the dispensaries offhand that they're in around the?
They're like all over. Like everyone out in Sac for sure. You know what I mean? So you could find Ellis Greens, and shout out to my man Kev. You know what I mean? And my favorite strain that I've tried a few of their strains. My favorite is called Finally. And the whole premise behind it is that when they finally got the genetics right, they were like, finally. You know what I mean? And
I don't know if you could ever get the genetics right, but it's like you finally got something, But I think it's like infinite, You can always tweak and find something new and interesting. And people don't realize, but like breeding genetics is. We don't breed humans, but we think of we have a kid and we like notice that some of the traits of us the kid has, some of the traits of our partner the kid has, and so and then you see athletes come together and we think, it's gonna be a great athlete. And plants are kind of the same way, but sometimes you'll have two athletes and the kid is like is like into computers and stuff, so you never know what you're gonna get. You never know what you're gonna get, but you have an idea. And so when people who really know how to breed, that they'll pop like 1,000 seeds, right? And just imagine if two of your favorite athletes, male and female, had 1,000 kids, right? You're gonna get one in there that's gonna be special.
That's a great analogy, actually.
Hell yeah.
I mean, this is kind of funny, but LeVar Ball, he's very vocal about that. That's how he chose his mate. He made sure the mother of his children was like athletic, you know what I mean?
Super tall as well.
Super tall, yeah. Like, and then his kids are all in the NBA now. You know what I mean? Like,
it works.
Yeah.
Basketball players.
That's funny.
And Ricky, we got a question here from Dennis. He said, now that Minnesota is legalized, when will we get some Heisman here?
Okay, so we're already in conversations. So I'm guessing next summer. Because once states legalize, that's when it's legal. But it still takes a while to get all the regulations and all that stuff in hand. But as soon as it's open, so I'm saying by next football season.
There we
We'll
go.
have some Vikings OG.
Yeah.
Some skull OG.
Yeah.
Some Candy Moss.
I can't lie. I think 9 times out of 10, I would buy the thing that had the skull on it. Like, oh yeah, that thing's about to kill me. Let me get this.
You died at least one time, at least the first time, right? At least,
right.
And then if it got you, then you're coming back.
You got to have the purple people eaters mixed in somewhere and just like crazy purple strain. Like, yeah, the Minnesotans would go crazy for it.
Or the moss. Just
moss. Right.
The Randy.
I'm just saying, like, but also I'm thinking, we do baseball too, so we have to get some honoring of Kirby Puckett.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yes.
Kirby Bucket, your enthusiasm. That's a stretch. That's a stretch.
Yeah, and we have a bunch of people who follow us who are in Minnesota. So yeah, I know they'd be really excited to get to puff on the Heisman out there.
Yeah.
That's cool though. I want to rewind back. So it's like you're just moving regular American, right? Someone recognizes you, then everyone's like, "Oh shit!" And you're in it's almost like seeing Elvis in Graceland, right? Like, oh my God, it's Ricky Williams in a dispensary. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
well, but what's trippy is because you never know, right? Especially I'm about a generation and a half past the current time, and so the young kids in the dispensary, a lot of times. They might recognize me by name and they might not know the story, but they're not going to be able to recognize me by sight. And so a couple of weeks ago, I was just a scruffy looking black dude in the dispensary, and I got treated a certain way. The same dispensary, somebody recognizes me. It's like a completely different experience,
Right?
Oh my God, it's so crazy.
I mean, man, Hess is in the house. So what up, Ricky?
What up?
What up, Hess?
Yeah.
Okay. Shout out to Hess, man. He's the shout to the cannabis.
Hess is the man. Hess is the man. He's an OG.
He's the one that's responsible for all this right here. So man, shout out to him.
He's the pimp with the limp.
And Yaku Mania. So here's one of our homies out in Massachusetts. He said, "I loved your stuff here at the I don't know how to pronounce it, but Temescal Wellness." Yeah, when you guys were doing all your visits and everything out there, he was out there meeting you guys.
Yeah, we'll be back. To me, it's fun, especially going to other AFC East cities and just AFC. Just NFL cities and pushing product because the people that show up to the dispensaries pretty much are all football fans, and it's cool to interact with fans who weren't Dolphin fans or Saints fans, but they were Ricky fans. So. Yeah. It's badass.
You've been pretty much on a tour for like the last couple of years going to the dispensaries. Where do you think's been one of the spots that you felt like showed you the most love? Maybe it was one of the biggest turnouts or, just the vibe.
No, pretty much every place I go, the people that show up show a lot of love. And I have to say in mass, because they're such huge sports fans that, they really showed up. It was especially when we go to exactly, especially when we go to small towns, because a lot of celebrities don't show a lot of love to these small towns, and so we kind of made a point to show love to everybody.
I want to shout out Pittsburgh, Mass, man. Shout out to my homie Matty Law. Pittsburgh's it's a Grammy place out there, you know what I mean?
And Michael said, when should we expect the Heisman and Jeter's collab to drop?
So we've already done. We do it every Super Bowl.
Nice.
And we every year when we drop during the Super Bowl, we talk about having something more sustained because we dropped the Sticky Ricky, and that's an exclusive for Heisman and Jeter. So at the very least, every Super Bowl. So the idea is we'll be launched in Nevada for this upcoming Super Bowl. So hopefully we'll have a nice collab to drop there.
Is it known that Jeter consumes, or does he play a real low key?
It's not named after Derek Jeter. That's just the name of the company.
Okay. I was like, because I was blown away. I was like, Derek Jeter smokes. I like him now. I always couldn't stand Derek Jeter.
I don't know. It's funny, you know, where we live in the big scheme of things. We live in a weird time where, at least for us adults, you know, even if we still are consuming all day, we still have that negative stigma. But I feel like the kids that are being born now, especially, it's not even they're not even gonna think about it as being illegal or negative. Kind of the way that we grew up thinking about alcohol.
Yeah, like I always told my girl said, "Sorry, are you gonna smoke when the kids grow up? Are you gonna smoke with them?" I'm like, well, I said, put it like this: if I caught them smoking, and now I could be like, "Hey, look, you're not of age." Like if they were kids, you know what I mean? Like I was smoking since I was like 13. You know what I mean? And like when my dad caught me, he just took my stash, and then I remember him having to lecture me, and I could smell my weed on his breath. I'm like, "This motherfucker." And now my mom's making him lecture me. I'm just trying to get to this dinner. I'm like, "Dad, you know you want to get to dinner as fast as me." He's like, just you're gonna throw your life away, and you're selling the shit, and blah blah blah, whatever the fuck I'm supposed to say. That's basically what the conversation was like.
Yeah, that's it, you know. But it's different though. Like, you know, to me, parenting, like while being a smoker, I enjoy it. You know, when my oldest son, you know, he was like 15 or 16. And we were talking about smoking. I was like, listen, I can't sit here and be a hypocrite and tell you not to do it. Yeah. But I said, listen, the way that I smoke, that, you know, it makes me a better student, not a worse student. So if I'm going to be okay with you smoking, I need to see the same kind of behavior that I expect from myself. And so it was a real conversation. I said, if I'm trying to talk to you and you can't pay attention, you know, and you leave when you get the munchies, you leave all the food on the counter. I said, that's not a smoking issue, you know, but it's not going to make it easy for me to stick up for you when your mom is like getting pissed about it. So I said, you know, you learn how to do it in a way where it adds to your life, then you're not going to have any complaints.
My dad worked in the Silicon Valley, and when I started smoking with him, I was like 18. And by this time, you know what I'm saying, it was like, nah, I'm really kicking it with my pops, you know what I mean? Because before it was like he's talking to me like father son, and now it's like he's leveling with me. And he would always express like, you know, I'm self-made, and it was two life, duality of man, the one life you show them and the one you don't. You know what I mean? Yeah. He always expressed that because it was illegal during those times. Yeah. In fact, I was 18 at like 2003. You know what I mean? So. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? He was like, you know, you can't be walking around here reckless and shit, smoking a blunt in front of Target. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's funny. My pops had a similar conversation with me, but it's a different time, and hopefully we're not repeating exactly the same thing our parents said. Hopefully we're doing the updated version of it. You know?
I hope so.
Right. We had to download the update. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, my son.
I didn't have enough storage space though. That was the damnest thing. So I'm still on that last one. You know what I mean?
Oh my god, it's worth the investment. It's worth the investment.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, my son. He was born like a month after the bill passed in California. So it's crazy. Like he's never been alive where it wasn't legal.
Wow.
You know, wherever he's been living. We moved to Vegas, and it's crazy how illegal it was back when I turned 21 in 2007 compared to now, where every single advertisement on every single cab out there is for a dispensary.
All the billboards too. It's crazy. But driving out to the desert, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's a different time. Different time.
I can't wait to see what the casino or the hotel or whatever. I don't know if it's going to be a hotel and casino, but when they actually get the regulated one for smoking here.
I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. That casino's gonna lose a lot of money to those gamblers, because I swear when I'm high, I'm like more intuitive, and like I feel like I'm like, you know what? Let's hit that 17. 4. Yeah. See, told y'all. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, you get these good feelings when you're high. You know, when you're drunk, you have no inhibition. You just the casino's racking it up, bro. I feel like there'll be more people like that. There'll be obviously more people that are cannabis enthusiasts that stay at that spot versus alcoholics, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Or is it going to be a casino, or is it just going to be a consumption hotel?
So I'm not 100% sure yet.
I think they're trying to figure out the laws with how to combine gambling and cannabis. But it's an interesting conversation to think of how alcohol and gambling interact differently than cannabis and gambling. It's like, you know, alcohol, they give you free drinks. I think when that people smoke, you gotta have like free snacks. You know,
Yeah,
that'll keep people hanging around for sure.
You gotta have the ultimate restaurants in there. Like it's got to be something for the ultimate munchie spot,
right? And I just like randomly, I want to see like guys like Ricky just walk across the lobby, or like Woody Harrelson. You're like, oh, we're in the right spot. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying?
Oh my god.
Yep. Zach said my dad's number one rule was no powder, no cigarettes, but would let me smoke weed.
Yeah.
And that's some good advice.
Some great advice.
Motherfuckers got to do something. That's what that's how my dad always used to tell me. He said, just don't be doing that other shit. You know, I had great examples in my family too of that other shit. So like, don't be like your cousin so and so, or don't be like your cousin Bush. That was always like growing up. Because we had a cousin Bush that went crazy on the drugs. You know what I mean? So it's like, shout out to my cousin Bush. I'm glad he existed, because I'm like, we don't want to go down that path.
Yeah, and Yaku Mania said, I've been arrested 3 times for weed, so if I ever have the stigma, PTSD, glad the next generation doesn't have to go through what we did. Yeah, it's crazy. I've been arrested so many times for weed, it's bullshit. Like, it was almost crazy because, like, they changed the 3-strike law when I potentially would have been getting a 3rd strike maybe for weed. And this is, like, way, way back.
Damn, that would have been bro.
Wow.
Weed?
Wow.
Yeah, all weed.
I mean, look at the cats in New Orleans, right? Or in Louisiana, like, you know what I mean? You used to get caught with a joint and you're doing some time, bro. Like, you know what I mean?
I did a podcast with this dude who 3 strikes. Conspiracy charge was his 3rd strike. And I was talking to him and I was like, what was going through your head? You know, when that judge, right, in the movie Life, right, and when the judge hit that gavel, he said, life. I was like, obviously he was out, so he ended up getting out, the work of Last Prisoner Project, but still having to go through that experience when you hear that for weed, you know, for life, you know,
it's ridiculous.
I know, and the irony of that is weed is life, man. You know what I mean? It's like, bro, I'm just trying to help these folks out here, man.
Yeah.
And what George said, he said, I just want to cross a little musical line.
Yeah. But it's kind of what you were saying, though, about gambling. I think like when people start smoking and they get like more aware of who they are and what's important to them, we become harder to control. And so I understand why if I was in charge of people and I wanted them to behave a certain way, I definitely would make smoking illegal. Because you start smoking, you start asking questions like, why am I doing this shit?
They're self-aware. That's why the weed heads over time naturally revolted, right? And just kind of
they did.
You know, dance to the beat of their own drum. I mean, musicians, you know, of culture, you know, it's kind of funny how like culture's coming around to it now, because I feel like if people smoke weed, like you're more compassionate. You're more like you were saying it earlier about with my kids. Like, I enjoy my kids when I'm high. When I'm not high, I'm like, bad watch them. I have to go. You know what I mean? The kids are going crazy. I'm bored. It's crazy, man.
I think when Dave Chappelle stopped smoking, I realized I'm a real irritable guy when I'm not smoking.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I'm like,
I start smoking. I'm on there. I start playing blocks. Start building shit with the Legos.
Yeah.
Right. I start building some fly shit too. I'm like, hold on, let me get that piece right there.
That's what it's all about. And just the exact opposite for these guys who got to drink, who need to drink to cope with whatever the fuck they're dealing with. Got to go to the bar or something on the way home from work. And then it's just the exact opposite when you get around that.
Exactly.
I do feel like people that need like escapism, right? Like you need to find your escape. And it's funny because things like alcohol and controlled substances, it tends to get you out of your space, right? And, you know, some people are trying to self-medicate and numb things. But I feel like when you smoke weed, it makes you dwell on the things in the right way you're supposed to. Like, I got to make, like, the things that you're supposed to make a change on, you know what I mean? Like, weed makes you more self-aware, you know what I mean? Like you said, like, it makes you not controlable, you know what I mean? Like, I can't let these things that in my life control me. I got to take control.
Wow. Dropping knowledge, Bogey. So it's real because I think we all we all do need an escape, but it's like some escapes we come back and shit is worse. But when we escape, at least for me, when I escape smoking, I get inspiration. I get ideas about how to handle shit. You know?
Yeah. And Yakumania said, yo, maybe since I want you to stay awake longer, maybe the casinos can promote better sativas.
It's just sativas in general aren't the most popular. So it's like, but they use the sativas to create all the hybrids, you know what I mean? Because like for me personally, my favorite strain is Durban Poison. You know what I mean? And that shit just like is the shit. Like I wrote like dope ass songs on that strain. You know what I mean?
You gotta be ready for it. You gotta be ready for this.
My bag, like that's like wake up in the morning and I'll roll up some Durban. I'm like, let's hit the day. You know what I mean? Let's go make a change.
Yeah, and
you gotta be ready for that though. Sometimes if you're not ready for a sativa, that mind will start. If you don't have something to do, right? That's the thing with a sativa. You gotta have something to do. Because if you don't have something to do and you hit that sativa, your mind will just start going. Start getting anxious about shit.
My lady would always sativas too. Like I mean, makes you too aware sometimes.
But see, that's what I always tell my girl, because my girl be like, "What is this?" And I would lie to her sometimes about it's hybrid because it's a sativa. Because I like it when my girl's the best when she's high. You know what I mean? She's like, what is this sativa? Let me see. And I'm like, she's like, and she's all paranoid. I'm like, you're mistaking paranoia for extra awareness. Okay.
Yes, you got it. Bogey,
you're just extra aware right now. Okay.
Yes.
Hess said, imagine if the U.S. president would puff a joint with the world leaders when they would arrive. Would be a better world. Yeah, Jamie Foxx talked about that when he was doing the Bill Clinton impersonation.
What are we even talking about?
Go over there and talk to Osama bin Laden. He's like, put down that bomb and pick up a bong, man.
But it's true. I bet when they meet, they have a bottle of nice wine there sitting there.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. They probably have some of their finest on hand.
Scotch.
Scotch. Like they're even gifting it. You know what I mean? Like, and you almost have to take a drink with them because it's a sign of disrespect. If not, and you know what I mean? I mean, what if we come to a day and age where it's like, here's some of our finest Heisman flour. You know what I mean?
We're gonna come. I'm telling you, just for this reason, but in like 16 years, okay, I'm gonna run for president, and I'm gonna have.
You heard it first here.
Hey, in the White House, but we're gonna have the finest people come in the White House. Roll up, have a seat.
It'd be amazing. I mean, that's what it needs to go that way. Needs to go that way.
That's how our founding forefathers intended it for us to smoke the good ganja. They came here and the indigenous people had it. Man,
well, they said life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. If that's not cannabis, I don't know what is. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
And there it is. That's the whole mantra of the campaign right there in 16 years.
Yeah.
I mean, back in the George Washington day, wasn't it a good cash crop for the southern states?
It was mandatory for people to grow because they needed it for sales for the ships.
Wow, because those are goods to take back home for real.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? I wonder what came first, Amsterdam or the colonies? Like that, you know what I mean?
But the Dutch were the ones that started slavery, so I think
So they were bringing back the product and was like, look at what they're smoking out there, bruh.
Exactly.
And then in true Anglo-Saxon fashion, they capitalized off what they're getting from the colored people. Music.
That's how cannabis got to Americans. It came with the slave ships. They would allow the slaves to bring the cannabis and they would allow them to grow it and use it because they saw that they worked harder and they worked longer in the fields.
Wow. Yeah. And then, I mean, shit, the entire religions was birthed off that too, like the Rastafarian religion, right? Like, because I would imagine like that they were brought to Haiti.
Exactly.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
And they were smoking on that good kind of sweet sesame. You know what I mean?
The Rastafarian churches sound so lit because that's like their communion is like sparking a joint.
Yeah. So we had in my hometown, San Jose, South Bay area, we had one of them joints. Rastafarian church, and it was a slash dispensary, but that was the only one that didn't tax you because they were a non-profit. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because they're a religion, so it's like whatever you bought, it went to the to the proceeds to their church or whatnot. But like they had good runts over there. So like we'd be like, oh, let's go, you know what I mean? Let's go to the Rasta Park. And then you can sit and smoke, and there's somebody giving a sermon, bro.
Oh, I need to start my own church for real.
Right.
Seriously, definitely will be communing, and we'll be talking about astrology the whole time. I'm starting my own astrology church.
You heard it first here.
Yeah, that's gotta happen. Gotta happen. People would love it. I mean, that's what it is all about, these communities, and we're getting too much fakeness in a lot of these churches, and too much is coming out. And yeah, people want to get behind someone in something. That's for sure.
Something. People want to believe in something. You know, I think like we all need to believe in something, because shit gets hard, and if we have something to believe in, we can handle anything.
Yeah, you ain't lying.
And I swear, man, weed brings people together like no other. Like most of my relationships, like I feel like I've either lasted because of weed, and whether it's smoking together or just like having the common bond between it.
Yeah. Same with me, you know, because for so long, especially when I was in the NFL and I got in trouble, I had to like hide that shit. And so it made me like more antisocial. But when I started like telling everyone I smoked, so I was at the Sacramento airport. This is like 20 years ago. I was in the Sacramento airport, and some dude came up to me, you know, and I'm used to people coming up to me because they're fans, but it was completely different. He came up to me like man to man, not like fan. He was like, "Hey, I got some fire in my car. You want to go? You want to come smoke with?" I was like, "Hell yeah!" I was like, "This is what fame is supposed to be about."
That's how me and my boys met you. We was in Vegas. We was in Vegas, bro. I think, man, it's got to be like 13 years ago. Maybe 14. It was a long time, but we was just walking through the casino, and then next thing you know, my boy's like, "We're gonna go smoke with Ricky right now, Ricky Williams, bro." And like, I'm on a molly. I'm in Vegas. That's just what you did in Vegas. And then we went and burned in the parking lot. It was like maybe not even 2 minutes, and security walked there, bro. And then like they was like, "Oh, Ricky Williams," and then we were like, "All right, dapped you up, bro." You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? But it was just one of those things. My boy was like, "Yo, I was going to Ricky, bro. It's Ricky Williams right there."
Yeah,
that's awesome.
And I'm sure you had a million. That's why I know you. I'm pretty sure if I wasn't on the molly, you might have remembered me, because then you know what I'm saying. I'm a talking motherfucker.
What Ricky? Give me one of those random, like just some random memory of a smoking session with like a random fan, random person.
I remember you posted something one time. You were like somewhere, and then you're like, "Yo, who got the tree?"
I was in Philly. Yeah, I was in Philly.
Damn.
I was in Philly doing a workshop, and I was just sitting there, and I was bored, and it was, you know, this is the early Twitter days, and so I just put a message out on Twitter that says, "I'm in Philly, you know, what's up?" And these kids hit me back, and they were like, "Hey!" So they came and picked me up at my hotel, and we went back to I think they're college kids. We went back to it wasn't a dorm room, but we went back to their apartment, and it was like the classic college apartment, you know, and they had this big ass sectional couch, right? We all kind of sat on the couch. And again, we were in Philly, and they brought out those old school big ass Philly blunts, you know, and split it. Yeah, they split it up, and we rolled it and sat there watching ESPN all night. And I learned something very valuable about Philly fans. Okay, Philly fans are about it. It don't matter how shitty, how horrible their teams are. The Philly fans think their team is the best. Because this year the Sixers were trash. You know, we were watching. They were like, "Oh, if we were healthy and we'd be the best team." I was like, I love these kinds of fans. That's why I wish I would have been an Eagle. Philly fans are about it.
Yeah.
Man, you were an Eagle with Andy Reid, bro.
I know.
Wow.
That would have been nuts, bro. I mean, from a fantasy perspective, because like Andy Reid just, you know, no matter who it is, he produces.
That's why I wanted to go there. You know.
Hell
I'm
yeah.
a West Coast running back. I'm a West Coast style running back. That's probably like my favorite system to play in.
Yeah, because it's so what's a West Coast like? Because I know people, it's morphed into just part of the game now. But like for people that don't know, the West Coast offense, it's like what, like a lot of like bubble screens and like short passes, a lot of like design like yak shit.
That's what it's evolved into, but the basic principle is simple principles, and you know what you're doing. You get the ball out quick, you know. Mm-hmm. And so in the West Coast system, like the way they train us is I had to learn the halfback, the fullback, the slot receiver. You have to learn every single position, because they can call any formation, because it's concepts, you know. So we had probably 12 concepts, but we could run those concepts from 50 different formations.
Every formation.
Exactly. And so it makes you dynamic, and the defense doesn't, you know, they have to recognize the formation, and then they have to recognize the concept. And if you learn how to do it efficiently, it's really hard to stop.
Oh yeah, who do you think does the best version of the West Coast offense right now?
I think the only coach I think that's like a pure West Coast coach now is McCarthy.
Yeah, I was gonna say Mike McCarthy is like one of the because Andy Reid, that's just part of the repertoire. Like Andy Reid,
so he's expanded it. He got Patrick Mahomes. It's still the same idea, the basic concepts, but with Mahomes, you know, and Andy Reid's a wizard. He's been doing it forever, so he's taking it to that next level. But I think the epitome of the West Coast, the heyday of the West Coast, were those 80s Walsh coached 49ers teams.
Oh yeah. I mean Roger Craig, right? He was the first one. And he was like really like a fullback, right?
Jerry Rice. Rathman was a fullback. So that's what made Jerry Rice so great. You know, if you look at the highlights of Jerry Rice, you'll just see slant. All right, he'll be taking slants.
And he's gone.
Yeah. So when I came out of high school, Bill Walsh had gone back to coach at Stanford for a year. And when the recruiting season started, I was 100% going to Stanford. And then he retired in the middle of the recruiting season. And then I switched to USC or Texas, but I would have been a Stanford Cardinal for just to play in that West Coast offense.
Yeah,
you know, and for the sake of like your weed like destiny, it was almost like no matter where you went, you were going to be destined. Because if you went to play in the Bay, like you would have been all in the weed at Mecca again. Still, you know what I mean? Like
it's funny, you know. Like I launched the brand Heisman, and if I think about like the long story of it, I feel like the reason I won the Heisman Trophy was so that I could launch a brand called Heisman. Because
so Destiny had to bring you to Texas.
Destiny, I had to win the Heisman Trophy in order to launch the brand. I had to have those experiences in order to get this word out. Because even when I got to Texas, when I went on my recruiting trip, they were taking me around the campus. And we went to this old room called the Tea Room. This is an amazing room. They had this big room, and they had like hundreds of pictures of All-Americans for like 80 years in all the sports. And right outside of the room was Earl Campbell's Heisman Trophy. And on my recruiting trip, when I walked in that room, I saw Earl's Heisman Trophy, and I thought to myself, you know, I could win one of those if I come here. And then when I got to Texas, my freshman year, 1995, we were in the computer lab. And the head of the computer lab says, we all need to get an email address. So I rose my hand. I said, what's email? And she broke it down. I was like, damn, what's my email address? As a freshman, my email address was Heisman at utexas.edu.
Nice.
Right? That's my. So I knew there was something in my destiny that had to do with winning that trophy. But it didn't stop when I won the trophy, because fast forward, I got in trouble for smoking. Right, had an opportunity to launch this brand, and here we are.
You heard it first, crew. that was hard.
Yeah, hell yeah, that's an awesome story. And yeah, destiny. It was written in the stars years ago.
It was written in the stars years ago. See, we have a destiny, but we have to fulfill it, because there's a lot of things written in the stars that we didn't read. You know, we didn't get the memo, and just kept on going right by us.
Oh yeah, Ricky. So while you're here, I found my birth certificate in the process of moving, and I found the exact time I was born. So I'm ready to book.
All right.
You know what I mean?
Okay, good.
And
so
if possible, I want to do like the in-person one, because I don't live, I'm like, within like an hour range from you. You know what I mean?
We got to. So what time were you born?
3:40 a.m. on 11/30/84.
Ooh, Sag.
Yeah, like I'm like people like someone told me one time, and it would send me down a rabbit hole. They're like, you're a Sagittarius, but you're in the Ophiuchus window.
Ooh, that's what
and then I was like, oh, the serpent bearer. Like I knew what it was. You know what I mean? I was like, oh, the other constellation, the bad one. I need to know more. You know what I mean?
What city were you born in?
I was born in San Jose, California.
Got it.
The Big Bay Area.
Perfect. Perfect.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And yeah, it's gonna be because I guess as they say, right? In order to sometimes see clear where you're going, you gotta know clearly where you came from, right? And I feel like
100%.
it's one of those things
100%.
that can clarity.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, this gonna be an interesting conversation. I got the chart. It's gonna be. I'm looking at the chart and already what you said about your dad. Already, I see it in the chart. It's crazy.
Yeah, my pops came from the PI at like 19 years old. He came in 78.
Yeah.
Came over to America. He came to Frisco. So they actually, when my mom was pregnant, they moved to San Jose because that was like the young, thriving city where you want to raise a family out of the city, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was that whole deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you got siblings, huh?
Yeah, I got 2.
Yeah. I can tell you have a lot of stuff in the house of siblings. So I would expect, that there's a lot of
like I always wanted
a lot of stuff between you and your siblings.
Yeah, hell yeah. And I wanted my household. That's why I got 4 kids of my own. Like I wanted to have more kids than I had siblings. You know what I mean? I always and that's kind of something that's kind of like normal kids wouldn't think about. When I was a kid, I used to think about shit like that. Like I'm gonna have a family one day.
Yeah. Mission accomplished.
I know, right? Now I gotta get high to deal with it. Gotta feed all these kids. Goddamn, I gotta get the bread.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We gotta get it out here, B.
Yeah. Man. Well, thank you for sharing that with me.
I appreciate you, man. Thank you for sharing those stories with us, man. And, you know what I mean? The crew really loves you, man. Like our community, you know what I mean? Is that it's dope because we're like if we weren't the guys in this, that rock with this community, we would be in a community like this because you know what I mean. It's weed heads, they find each other, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's real.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah. And even though a lot of this is based around fantasy football and sports and, the whole 420 collab, but there's guys like a stranger who's in the chat here. He's like, he doesn't play fantasy football at all, but he's here for the smoke sessions. And he found us the day, the DeMar Hamlin day. We always did.
You're like the only one streaming live.
Yeah,
I remember I was on the mushrooms crazy that night, and I was so devastated because because of like the events of the night. Like I left the stream, I was like, "This is crazy. It's crazy to do it right now on the streams." Like I was like, "Brett, did we see Brett just die for real?" Like that shit was crazy. You know? And thank God that the world didn't witness that. I mean, we already see stuff like that with like police brutality and shit like that. Like imagine the impact on if he actually passed, bro. It would be like it would change football forever. You know what I mean? And I know that might sound selfish of me saying because I enjoy football, but also saying that for that kid's sake because it's like I mean that was really fluky. You know what I mean?
Super fluky, and and so that was the final day of the fantasy football championships for a big percentage, huge percentage. So that was the most. It was unfulfilling to a lot of fantasy managers. So I think there's more of like an urge to play this year.
Yeah, to get that bad taste out of the mouth.
Yeah, and I mean, we're all super excited that he didn't pass away because that just would have been horrible. But we're ready to get back to it. Like we're hosting. It's going to be in August 18th, 19th, and 20th here in Vegas. It's going to be a big fantasy football 420 event and dozens and dozens of live drafts. We have we're doing a big money league, and a big money league for us, $600. And we got the prize is like this custom wrestling belt. Let me show you.
Oh, wow.
And it's a guy who makes like wrestling belts for like a lot of independent like wrestling promotions. But so I got this one done up last year. Oh, there we go. And it's got the bong, got the fantasy football hustler. We got the 420 crew like emblem. And these things are like close to $2,000, and whoever wins is going to be able to keep the gold.
Yeah.
Hey, there's a little man.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah. Anything else? Anything that you got coming up that you want to let people know about?
We're just grinding right now. You know, spending most of my time getting Leela right. But yeah, so I'm going out to Pennsylvania. Check out. I think I'll be in Pittsburgh and Philly this month. You can find out more information on Heisman.com.
Cool. And if you guys don't follow Heisman on Instagram, make sure you go do that because that's where you can stay plugged in. You know, you just set up the automatic alerts, and they're always keeping us in the loop of all the Ricky appearances and everywhere that he's going and all the dispensaries that he's visiting along the way.
My bad. Had to take that phone call. I was trying to make it quick. Just like, oh, hurry up.
All good. Well, Ricky, I know you got some things going down as you always do, but man, we really appreciate you coming on and sharing your time, and everyone in the 420 crew super excited every time you come show some love.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and if you don't mind, Ricky, if Hus can connect us,
please,
we can figure out a time to book that because I definitely want to do that.
Yeah, please.
All right, awesome.
Sounds good. We'll
appreciate you, Ricky.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen of the 420 crew, it's your favorite Heisman's favorite Heisman, Ricky.
Defense on me.
I don't want them to gain another yard.
You blitz all night. If they cross the line of scrimmage, I'm going to take every last one of you out. You make sure they remember forever the night they played the Titans.
Here comes the